If someone does this the moment things get real, they are running from you, and they might never stop. There comes a point in every relationship where someone starts pulling away right when it matters most. Not during the boring days, not during the arguments, during the good part, the close part, the part where it finally feels like something real. And you start questioning everything. Your words, your timing, your worth. You replay the last conversation over and over, looking for the exact sentence that scared them off. But here's the truth. It was never really about you. It was about how close you got. Let's set the stage. The people who run from love weren't born this way. Somewhere back in their life, wanting someone too much came with a cost. Maybe nobody was there when they needed comfort. Maybe they learned early that leaning on someone just meant getting hurt later. So they built a wall, quietly, over years, without ever deciding to. And that wall doesn't come down just because they meet someone good. If anything, someone good is exactly what makes the wall shake. So when things start to feel warm, honest, close, they don't lean in, they pull back. At first it's small, a slower reply, a shorter conversation, less warmth in their voice. And if you notice it and say something, they don't come closer to fix it, they pull back even further. And here's the moment that tells you everything. If they start acting like the closeness never happened, if the same person who held you at 2 a.m. suddenly treats you like a stranger, if they go quiet, cold, distant, right after the best night you've had together, that is not confusion. That is the wall going back up. Watch what happens next, because this is the real sign. If they start rewriting what happened between you, suddenly you were too much, too intense, too needy. Even though you were patient, even though you were kind, the story in their head starts to shift so they don't have to feel guilty for leaving. That's not truth. That's self-protection. And once someone starts rewriting you as the problem, they rarely go back to admitting what actually happened. Another sign, and maybe the hardest one to watch, is when they feel relief instead of pain. Not sadness, not longing, relief. You'll notice they stop checking in completely. Messages go unanswered, not out of anger, just out of nothing. And if they do respond, it feels flat, distant, like talking to someone reading from a script. The warmth is gone, and it doesn't come back on its own. You might even see them a few weeks later, smiling online, out with friends, looking like nothing ever happened. And it will hurt, because you're still aching and they look completely fine. But that calm isn't healing. It's avoidance doing what it always does, skipping the pain instead of feeling it. The stronger the connection was, the harder they run from admitting it mattered at all. Now here's what makes this even harder to sit with. They usually won't explain. There's no big conversation, no apology, no closure, just quiet and distance, and you left to guess what happened. That's not because you didn't deserve an explanation. It's because talking about it honestly would mean facing feelings they've spent years learning to avoid. So, if you've experienced silence, cold distance, or a story that suddenly makes you the villain for loving someone honestly, you already have your answer. That person isn't confused about what they want. They already decided, quietly, long before they ever went quiet on you. So, what do you do now? You stop waiting for a text that explains everything. You stop replaying the last conversation like it holds a hidden clue. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's ability to stay close to you. Their distance was never proof that you were too much. It was proof that closeness scared them more than losing you did. It is not your job to prove you're safe enough to love. It's not your job to shrink yourself down until someone feels comfortable enough to stay. The right person won't need convincing. They'll lean in when things get real, not disappear. They'll sit with discomfort instead of running from it. They'll choose you on the good days and the hard ones. If someone chose distance, chose silence, chose a story where you were somehow the problem, then you already know where you stand. They're not busy. They're not confused. They made their choice quietly. And now it's time you make yours. Sometimes they do come back, months later, after they've moved on in your mind. But when that happens, it's rarely love calling them back. It's usually just the quiet, once they realize you've stopped waiting. So let that quiet do its work. Let it be the space where you heal, not the space you keep hoping someone will fill again. Because someone who runs the moment love gets real was never running from a mistake you made. They were running from how much you actually meant. And you deserve someone who doesn't run.